Hello everyone, welcome to UrbanPro Live Masterclass. We are here with yet another interesting and informative masterclass for you. This is Sinchana from UrbanPro team, your host for today. Before we proceed further, we would like to inform all the attendees and YouTube viewers that UrbanPro is India's largest and most trusted learning network with over 7.5 lakh tutors and trainers. Through UrbanPro, you can easily find highly skilled and trusted personal tutors and trainers for your learning requirements. Okay, coming back to today's session, we are presenting an interactive live masterclass to help you understand what PTE exam is and more about its speaking section. But before we kickstart the presentation by our speaker, I would like to address our attendees and YouTube viewers that in case you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into Q&A box on your Zoom control panel. Moving on for those YouTube viewers, you can drop your questions on the chat box. And don't worry about your questions. We will bring them after the presentation as we will have time for questions at the end. All right. Without further ado, let's welcome our speaker, Miss Priyamvada. Priyamvada is a well-trained and proficient career and admission consultant, educationist, and test prep trainer. With over 10 years of experience, she's a certified trainer for PTE and IELTS from British Council. Having great subject knowledge and experience, Ms. Priyamvada is popular among her students and consultees for her unique and practical approach. A warm welcome to Urban Pro's live masterclass, Ms. Priyamvada. We're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much, Sanjana. It's a pleasure for me to be here today and to share about PT overall as well as the speaking section and details to all the viewers over YouTube and the Zoom webinar. So without much delay, let's start. So before I start, I will just take a minute to tell them that when you addressed me as a certified trainer, what does it mean? So if you all have missed out my name is Priyamvada Agarwal. I know it's a big name, very complicated name. So you all can address me as Priya. I am a certified advanced level trainer for PTE by Pearson. These are the two certificates that I have received from PTE over time. I was first certified in 2012 and the second certification came in 2019. It is a hard work to get these certificates. It's not something like just walk into an easy gateway. As I said, I've been teaching since after 2012, after I was certified. And I have taught more than 2,000 students. The highest scoring has gone up to a 90 on 90. And how is that happens or how can we make that do is not that I can go and write the paper for you, but definitely I can share a lot of strategies and tips with you, which can enable you to perform super well and get that score. So in today's viewingship, or I would say today, the topics that we're going to cover is that what is PTE? A lot of people ask me, what is the difference between PTE and IELTS? So we'll discuss that very briefly. The test format of PTE, how does the scorecard look and what are your skills tested? And then we'll look into the speaking section in details. So what is PTE? PTE is a test which was introduced by the Pearson Group. Pearson Group is a very, very old group which was into a lot of different kind of English programs and a book publishing. So therefore, they started this exam in the same parallel direction as IELTS. The full form of the exam is Pearson Test of English Academic. And it is trusted by almost all universities, colleges, and the governments around the world. It is currently the world's leading computer-based test. Reason being that we all are stuck in a pandemic where going to a center to take a test is really impossible in these lockdowns. Or even if the lockdowns are mildly lifted and there are scopes to go to the test center, we feel really jittery about stepping out and going and trying to contaminate ourselves. So therefore, PT is an exam where you don't have to write in paper and pencil. You have to do the entire exam online, sitting in the vicinity of your home, because PTs also come up with a home edition. Earlier, PTE was restricted, but now over the last 1.5 years, it has been accepted worldwide by all the top universities, by all immigrations for study abroad, work abroad, or migration abroad. So you do not need to worry. Now, let's do a poll. How many of you know the difference between IELTS and PTE? Let's see.
Can we have all the attendees to vote for the poll? Like we see only 33% have voted.
Well, I'm not going to judge you on your poll. So you all can go ahead and poll. And so that when we do the next slide, it'll be really interesting. Okay,
All
let's
right,
stop the
so
poll.
would we end the poll here?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have not at all. So people don't know the difference. Fine, that's not a problem at all. So let's understand the difference. So PTE is a very fast exam compared to IELTS. When I say fast, it's in terms of the results coming out fast. In IELTS, your results come out 13 days from the day of the test taken. Whereas in PTE, you can avail your scores in 5 business working days on your mail. Actually, what we've seen in the last 1.5 years is that the results usually come out in 24 hours. So let's say you've taken a 10 o'clock exam, there are very high chances that before you go to bed, maybe later in the night, about 10:30, 11, you could have your scores on your mail. Now, you would ask me, how is that possible? Well, IELTS, as it's a pencil and a paper exam, it's manually checked. Your papers are sent to the UK at the British Council headquarters where they're checked and then the results are scored. So all this transportation and the manual checking takes up time. Whereas PTE, out of 4 sections, I would say about 2.5, or I would say about 60% of the exam is corrected by AI, that's artificial intelligence. And the 30%, which has to be done manually, they have trainers who are sitting online because it's everything online. So the minute you're typing your exams, everything is getting saved in under your name on the server. Therefore, the examiner is able to access them and really check them very fast. So therefore, in case if there's a delay because of anything, maximum delay can be 5 days, not more than that. So people who are looking at results in a short turnover time, PTE is the apt exam for you. Flexibility. Now, again, IELTS is an exam which the dates are finalized by, again, the British Council headquarters for internet all over the world. And they give you out specific dates. That's usually 4 times a month for academic and twice a month for general. Therefore, you have to do a lot of planning, prepping, booking the exam in advance. Whereas at PTE, the exam is conducted 360 days in a year over 250 test centers, and at places where there is lockdown, they're also offering the home edition. Therefore, you don't have to do a lot of planning. You don't have to book the exam 20 days in advance. You can easily book the exam 5 to 6 days in advance. If you're booking the exam 48 hours before the exam date, then you have to pay a fine. Otherwise, you are allowed to do that. The 5 days that you're not allowed to take the exam, that's 5 days out of the 365 days, those are used for maintenance purposes. Next is the fairness. As I just mentioned, that it's not a manual checking, but it's an AI checking. Therefore, there is no chances of being biased. There is no chances of human error. Artificial intelligence checks your paper in a very, very apt manner because every data is fed into the computer. When I say every data, so only those questions are checked by AI which have only accurate single answers. Where answers are can be different for every different test taker, that is where the manual checking comes in. And manual checking also, these trainers are trained and they become examiners by a lot of pursuit over years. They take the exam themselves. It's not easy to become an examiner. Not I and you cannot just go and become an examiner because we've taken PTE once. To become an examiner, you have to undergo a very vigorous training. You are put into a stipulation period and then you become an examiner who can handle your paper. Therefore, fairness is 100%. Secure. Now, when you go to the test center, they do a lot of security checking to make sure that you are itself. These security checkings are shared with your immigration officer so that when you're going for student visa or work visa, PR visa, they do not doubt about your exam authenticity. If you're going to the test center, they'll do a palm web scanning. Then they are going to do a voice recording. So they'll ask you to do a personal recording of yourself just to keep matching that yes, if your voice is the same or not. And these things are kept properly secured in the server when they are doing this test security checking. If you're sitting at home, even then the voice test is done and they will ask you certain questions which only you yourself can answer and nobody else who can answer them. And last but not the least, the ease. How easy or how difficult is the exam? Well, it is pretty much easy because it's computer adaptive. You have to do everything online over using a laptop, which 90% of us are habituated to do. We are spending more of our time on the laptop. Therefore, we are good with the typing speed. We are good with the navigation and all. Slowly, gradually, because of this technology advancement and use of the laptop more frequently, we are losing the touch about doing manual writing, using a pencil and a paper. Therefore, it's much easier on that aspect. Also, it is much easier in terms of handwriting. In a PT, you don't have to do any handwriting. You are basically just asked to type. Therefore, your handwriting is not judged. Whereas when in the IELTS, when you're writing, if your handwriting is not legible, there are very high chances of you not being able to score as much as you desired. I hope I am very clear with the difference of the two. If you have questions about this yet, please put up your questions on the Q&A or the chat box and we'll get back to you in the question and answer session. Now let's understand the PTE test format. So 4 skills are tested: the speaking, writing, reading, and listening. But the exam is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 holds the speaking and the writing section, whereas part 2 holds the reading, and part 3 is the listening. Before you start the test, there is going to be a personal introduction section, which is going to be there for about a minute and a half, which is an unscored section where you need to basically introduce yourself as in who are you. This introduction helps them to know about you a little, also gives you as an icebreaker. At the same time, it's one of the security measures. It does help in keeping an understanding if your voice is not same modulation, your voice is apt. Now let's look at part 1 a little in details. Part 1 is the speaking and the writing section, which is for about 77 to 93 minutes. Why is this variation between the timing? It's depending on the number of questions that you can get. There are about 7 items overall, which is like read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retail lecture, answer short questions. These 5 items are into the speaking section or are part of the speaking section. Whereas summarize written text and essay is a part of the writing section. Today, we will be doing the speaking section in details with examples and understanding certain tips and strategies. Now, before I move into that, let's understand the reading section. It's again a 32 to 40 minutes section. This is one section which is completely timed. Here, questions are not timed individually. Here, the entire section is timed, therefore leaving you with very less time to be able to finish the whole section if you are not fast and swift from the beginning. The questions in, or I would say the items under here are reading and writing, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, multiple answers, reorder paragraph, reading, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, single answer. Now, as you read these five, you would see that two particular items which are repeated in different variation. Well, that does not mean that there's the same item type. Their way of assessing, the way of them doing is a little different. And reading section is the only section where negative marking happens. Listening section, that's part 3. So you get a time space between part 2 and part 3. It's an optional break. And I definitely encourage all my test takers to take this break because it gives you a little relief. It helps you calm your mind. And because the listening section is the longest section in terms of item types, it also helps you rejuvenate, clear your head, and become prepared to face the next set of exams. It's a 45 to 57-minute exam or section, which has about 8 item types. Summarize spoken text. This is the only question type in the listening which has a fixed time. The rest of the questions do not have a fixed time. They are variable. That's multiple choice, multiple answers, fill in the blanks, highlight correct summary, multiple choice single answer, select missing word, highlight incorrect word, and write from dictation. Now, when you look at these item types, you would say, it's going to be an easy section. Why? Because they're repeated questions, which I've already done in the speaking, writing, and the reading section. So therefore, it's going to be very easy for me to do. Well, it does sound that, yes, they're the same section or the same question type, but the strategy to do them is different because they're just not turned over opposite, but their way of adapting, the way of them functioning is very different. So you need to pay attention to each of these item types individually, understand their motive, understand how they go in a very, very stringent manner. Let's talk about a poll time again. How many of you have attempted this exam already? Or which attempt of this is your exam is yours? The first attempt or multiple or second? Come on, people, please poll. Now I'll take a short break. I think we can stop the poll time. I think I'm sure everybody has given their answers.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so 75% says this is their first attempt, and about 25% say this is their multiple attempt. So I would say that starting from now, when I'm going to be explaining you about the scorecard, and we're going to be doing this section in details, the speaking section for the first time attendees, I would say is please pay attention carefully. And people who are taking this exam on multiple attempts and not being able to score for whatever reasons, I would say is try to understand what I'm trying to tell you and later on try and evaluate and see what you are doing as to what I'm saying, what is the difference, and try using my strategies or my tips in your practice to see if there's an improvement. And in case still if you're not being able to get through, please drop in your queries or your views or your concerns on the chat box or in the Q&A box, and then I'll try and get back to you about it. Okay, the score guide. So this is how your score guide looks like. Obviously, this is not the entire. I can't share somebody's score guide just like that. So this is a very sample one. Above this is all your details about your name, date of birth, location, registration number, date of exam, a lot of all those. But this is the most important part that we are looking at. So if you see on your left side where the skill profile is given, where I say that there is a communicative skills section. So that, as I said, the 4 skills which are majorly tested are mentioned here. And that's listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Okay, each of these have to be are scored out of 90. You need to get a minimum of 65 out of 90. That's the bare minimum. And above that is depending on how somebody can score depending on your cutoffs. Scoring a 90 or 90 in each of these sections is very easy, not a very difficult task. It is not impossible at all. I said it's not very difficult if you really can put your head into it. Other than these four communication skills, you are tested on six other skills which give you a balance, which also help a lot of universities, a lot of immigration officers understand your skill of English. That's grammar, your fluency, your pronunciation, your spellings, your vocabulary, and written discourse. Written discourse means how well have you been able to comprehend something given and you've written it out. How well have your paragraphings been done? How well have you been able to explore ideas? Now, these enabling skills are not the main focus, but they are of concern, which can really help you work your way out. Now, let's look at the speaking one section in details. So as I mentioned earlier, the 5 item types. Let's look at each item type a little in more details, and then we look at the examples. Read aloud. So in this, a text will appear on your screen and you need to read that aloud. Here, your speaking and reading skills are tested, whereas because you're reading something which is given on the screen, so you're reading, and when you're speaking it out and recording is you're speaking. Usually the length of the text is about 60 words, not more than that. It can be less or it can be more depending on the length of the text, as well as the time to repeat the answer will also vary upon the number of words of the text. About 6 to 7 of such items come to your exam. Trust me, you can score the maximum here because each read aloud question has 3 points. Sorry, it has 15 points. 5 points for each enabling skill. That's fluency, pronunciation, and content. So getting a 15 on 15 for each item of each question of read aloud is very easy, helping you score to the maximum. Repeat sentence. Here, you after listening to a recording of a sentence, you need to repeat the sentence. Here, your listening and speaking is tested. About the audio that you will hear will be a short sentence of about 3 to 9 seconds, and the maximum time that you get to answer is 15 seconds. You need to repeat it exactly in the same words. Here, you are tested on 13. 5 points for fluency, 5 for pronunciation, and 3 for content. If you are able to repeat the content more than 50% of the original, you are easily able to score 12. About 10 to 12 of these come. So your concentration has to be A. Basically, you have to be on your game A. You can't take a laxation. You can't say between 2 questions, oh, I'll take a quick break. You can't. The next is describe image. Yes, this is something which is not usually that you've done in life earlier. Here, only the speaking test skill is assessed. Here, you would see a diagram or an image on your screen. It can be a graph, it can be a chart, it can be a table, it can be a map, it can be anything. You have to understand what it is and then repeat your answer based on it or describe it in a very short, brief manner within 40 seconds. You know, it's not 40 minutes, it's 40 seconds. 40 seconds just go away with the flick of your eye. So you have to be prepared, and this needs a lot of practice. About 6 to 7 of these are there. Here, you are tested on, again, fluency, pronunciation, and content. Again, this is 13. Next is retail lecture. Here, your listening and speaking skills are assisted. Here, you will hear a recording, a big recording of about 90 seconds or so, where they'll be describing about maybe something or about a lecture happening in class or about somebody's opinion. While this is happening, you need to take down notes on your scratch pad so that Then you are going to, then so that you can use those notes, prepare a quick answer and repeat that answer in 40 seconds. Only 3 to 4 of them come, but they can be very crucial for your exam. They can break or take away your exam. Describe, image, and retail lecture. You need to practice this a lot because they can take your score really high or they can keep your score low. So you need to make that, this is the swing which happens. You need to make sure that the swing is there. Then next is answer short questions. I would say the easiest of the lot. Basically testing your general knowledge, listening and speaking. A short question would be asked to you. You need to reply to with one word or a very, very brief 2-word answer. You have 10 seconds and you have to be very quick. They're about 10 to 12, plus 1 for every correct answer and 0 for every wrong answer. There's no negative marking. So you do not, if you don't know the answer, guess. 22% of the times, a guessed answer works. So you may be lucky. Try, and they're very simple questions. Just try to understand the question. Don't close your head. Keep it open. Try to understand and it will do. Now let's try doing each of these items with an example. Read aloud. As I said, it's a long answer PTE speaking test style. What is it doing? It's trying to test your ability to read a short text aloud using correct pronunciation and intonation. What does intonation mean? Intonation essentially means that you are using a little voice modulation. If you're happy, you say, "Hi, I'm happy today." But if you're sad, you say, "It's been a very bad day. Mondays, I hate waking up in the morning." So you see, immediately the pitch mode up and down in my voice is called intonation. Therefore, instead of reading a text like a stern poet or like a la 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 la, you need to make that change. The change helps the other person understand that have you been able to understand the text or you're reading it just like a parrot. So as I said, a series of text keeps appearing on your text. One has to read the text aloud. The length can be maximum 60 words. On your screen, you'll have a countdown timer, which shows the time left before the recorder starts. During this time, you have about 30 to 40 seconds before the recording starts where you hear a beep. Till you don't hear a beep, you don't start speaking. So before you hear a beep and you see the text on your screen, that's called the prep time. During this prep time, you should read the text to your own self. This helps you understand where to pull up and down. If there's an unknown word, you get familiar, so you don't fumble, you don't hesitate. There is not a long pause. And it gives you comfort. The minute you hear the short tone or the beep, you start speaking immediately with a clear voice. The tip. Your score in the read aloud is based on 3 factors, as I said: content, fluency, and pronunciation. You get scores for content by the number of correct answers in your response, as in how much of the content you've spoken exactly, have you added any word or not. The S's also matter. If it says trees and you've just said tree, that's going to be considered as one word wrongly pronounced from the content. Oral fluency checks the rhythm and the smoothness of your response. If you say, after reading a short tone, beep sound, these R's are saying that there are breakages in your fluency. Pronunciation is based on how correctly you pronounce the word. A very common question that most test takers ask me. I belong to a certain region and my dialect of English has a little, or my pronunciation of English has a little, what do you say? My local language dialect also. Does that make a difference? No, they're not testing you that what kind of English do you know? Do you know American, Australian, or Britain? They are wanting you to spell the word correctly. Now, speaking is considered as word speaking. You can say it in any tone, any pronunciation. But if you say it as speaking, that changes the word. That's not the right, that's wrong pronunciation. So let's look at a text below. So you have 40 seconds. You must read this text aloud as naturally and clearly possible. You have 40 seconds to read it aloud. So before my 40 seconds start, I have, let's say, 20 seconds to read this. So I would read this in my mind like, I have read it in my mind. Now, when the beep start, I would be able to read it better. Would you all want to try it yourselves? And then leave comments in the chat box or the comment box saying that, yes, you've got this. I shall take a break. I think most of you must have tried by now. So we can move to the next one. Next is repeat sentence. Repeat sentence is a short answer PTE speaking type. It tests your ability to listen and memorize a sentence in the audio. Because it's a short sentence, you can definitely memorize it. A lot of people say, can we quickly take it down on a piece of paper? Yes, you can. If you're able to capture it in that short time, you're more than welcome to do it. Some people say that, we'll just take down the first alphabet of each word and it'll be easy for us when we're repeating. Do it. I'm all game for it. You have to record the sentence that you've heard in exactly the same words. So involves listening to a recording, repeating it. The audio length ranges from 3 to 10 seconds. Again, on your screen, the audio plays automatically. Then they will say the recording is going to start now, and then the recording status shows. And when you're recording, the bar keeps becoming blue, showing that your recording is happening. You can't listen to your recording. You can do that now when you're practicing, but you cannot listen to the recording during the exam. The scoring is based again on the same three factors, that's content, oral fluency, and pronunciation. Content is determined by analyzing the proportion of your response that is correct. How much percentage of your response is exactly matching to the original sentence in terms of words like is, the, and. These are the small words which there are very high chances of you missing. So we check you on that very, very carefully. Oral fluency obviously takes into consideration the pace, the intonation, and the stress on the particular sentence, again, depending on what kind of a sentence is it. For example, if I say, Julia has an off on Saturday. See, I use stress on off and Saturday. So, and the pronunciation obviously should be comprehensible by the computer system. Now let's look at one. So you will hear a sentence. Please repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it. You will hear the sentence only once. Australia is the first AIDS-free country in the world. There's one thing I would like to hear mentioned. People, please stop trying to analyze what kind of accent is the person using. Is it an Australian, Britain, European, American, Indian, what? You're not concerned about that. You're concerned with the content. So concentrate on that. What happens the minute we become analysts during the exam, we lose out on these words. Therefore, getting us less marks, it does not help anybody, but it is the most negative thing that can happen to us. Y'all want to try this? Okay, next. Describe image. I would say this is very important. Please pay very careful attention to this. It's one of the long answer type PTE questions. Its ability is to test you in terms of you being able to describe an image using the correct words, pronunciation, and intonations. They're trying to test your ability that you're understanding something by given image. An image appears on your screen, and you have to describe it in details, and your answer length is only 40 seconds. You have 25 seconds before the recording starts. These 25 seconds, you can very quickly on a piece of paper make your notes of what kind of things you want to talk about. You can very quickly have a quick brainstorming in your head and form an answer. A lot of YouTube videos, a lot of websites provide you a lot of templates. And a lot of you feel that using that template is going to make life easy for you. Well, I am somebody who does not believe in using a lot of templates. Why? Is because I say that these templates, if you memorize them, and what if you forget them during the exam? It's a complete killer. Instead, if you want to use these templates as guiders. When I say use them as guiders, is use them to understand how to frame answers and then get into your own set pattern of being able to answer. There should be a line of introduction, there should be a line of conclusion, and one line of the main body. You don't have to speak about everything given on the diagram, but you need to describe the diagram in a brief manner. I'll do one for you for the next one. The next example, I'll do one for you. Here you're getting again scores on the content, which is the systematic presentation of the given image. Oral fluency, again, your pace, intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation is based on your comprehensibility. So here is the graph that you see, and you need to speak into a microphone after 25 seconds for 40 seconds to give an answer. This is an answer which I had given. And this is a very apt answer. If you see, I have not. So if I read the graph, it's talking about illiterates, primary and secondary and above. It's a trend of urban female education from 1999 to 2000, that year, and 2009 to 2010. And the red is illiterate, blue is primary, and the green is secondary. I have done my reading of the graph. Now, as an introduction, I will paraphrase the question, the graph heading, that the trend in urban female education have been quite unsettling over the last decade because there's a lot of fluctuation. The number of illiterate females declined from 442. I use the numbers very appropriately because they were given. So use data as given. You cannot make up your own data. In the year 1999, 2000 to 373 in 2009 to 2010. Now you would say that that is a mistake. Yes, because that could have been, no, I read it wrong. I'm so sorry. 2004, 2005, and further declined to 298 in 2009-10. So the number of females who completed primary education was 174 in 1999-2000, going up to 2003, so 203 in 2004-5, and then taking again a drip up to 193 in 2009-10. However, you see the contrasting, the linking word, however. The number of females who completed secondary education successfully continued to increase from 281 to 305 and then to 382 in the years 1999, 2000, 2004, 5, 2009, 10, respectively. I'm done, 40 seconds over. I've described everything. That was the conclusion that I presented because I've made everything. The word respectively is completely giving me an answer of a completion. Very easy to make data errors. Very easy to get confused between years. So it's best I would have written down on a piece of paper, which would have been my guider. The image continues staying. All those 40 seconds that you're answering, the image remains on the screen. So it's not that whatever you take down all the details on a piece of paper for 25 seconds and then you don't get to say it. No, in those, what you get to see the image all through those 40 seconds. Okay. Do you all want to try? Do you all want to just read through this or do something about it? I'll give you about a couple of seconds. I think everybody's just got it. Let's go to the next one. Retail lecture. Again, another stressful, another very complex question. It's a long question. It's again testing your ability to give a presentation on an information, what you've heard from. So they're testing your listening and speaking. So whatever lecture you hear, how well have you been able to comprehend? Have you been able to capture the key points, the key notes, and then can you put them all together and speak? It's like trying to see that what you comprehend from a listening to speaking, is it on the same wavelength, or you're mixing and matching everything? You need to see these detailed lecture in your own words. So that's one easier thing. That's one calm point. The length of a lecture can be up to 90 seconds. So after you listen, or yeah, usually you listen to the lecture and then you retail in your words. So while you're listening to the lecture, you should have your hands continuously typing down or taking down notes on a piece of paper in any random format. You have about 25 seconds before the beep sounds for you to speak for 40 seconds. In those 25 seconds, you can quickly read through the notes that you've taken and create a understanding of how and what you will speak, and go ahead. Make sure that your contents is stating the relevant facts and figures from the lecture. You don't add your own. You do not bring in outside knowledge. And oral fluency is obviously allocated by analyzing the tone, stress, linking words used in your response. And pronunciation is the clarity of your response. Okay? So you will hear a lecture. After listening to lecture in 6 seconds, please speak into the microphone and tell what you've heard in your lecture. The 6 seconds is, maybe I have put in 6 seconds because that's what I try to prepare you. But you generally get about 15 to 20 seconds. So I heard a lecture about tropical and infectious diseases. So I put them down in a very easy my word. So I said that the lectures about various tropical infectious diseases like malaria, dengue, chikungunya, and various others are taking place in developing and less developed countries of continents like Asia. One reason behind it is humid conditions arising due to the global warming and an increasing temperature. It is also arising the crumbling health infrastructure. I had to stop here because I did not have more time. But in this entire paragraph that I said, I tried to pull in most important points. I'm not being able to make you listen to the lecture. I'm so sorry. Maybe next time, or maybe when you take a demo from me, I would be able to do that in a better manner. Now let's come to the answer short questions. I love this. This is the most easiest. This is really fun, and we really have very fun classes when you're doing it because it's like a quiz show, and it really tests your knowledge. And I get such nice weird answers. Once in a while, I have different. They let me open my new insight to look at things. It's basically trying to understand how well can you understand a question and provide an answer to it. Also tests your basic general knowledge. You will hear a question in an audio, and based on your understanding, you have to give the correct answer in a word or maximum group of words. When I say 2 or 3 words, okay, within 10 seconds. So the minute your question stops, your recording starts within 10 seconds. So you have 10 seconds to say, and you have to be very prompt with your answer. Each correct answer will get you a score on the content part, and your answer should be crystal clear to get the score for the pronunciation. Let's try. You will hear a question, give a short and answer. So which organ in the human body does the purification of the blood? The answer would have been kidney. Or if you have a heart or a chest pain, where do you go to? Do you go to the doctor? Or do you need to go to, no, so you do go to a cardiologist or you go to an orthopedic? Yes, your answer needs to be quick, but you don't need to be like fast as in the answer. Did you understand what I said? No. You need to open your mouth clearly and define your answer, kidney. But it has to be quick. Quick and fast, they're two things, especially when it comes to pronunciation and fluency. If I say quickly say it or say it very fast, that's different. Quick is instant answer and fast is kidney. Cardiologist. I don't understand. And don't use an accent. Very important understanding of the speaking section is please use your natural tone of speaking. Do not try to impress the examiner by using an accent. Having an accent cannot help you score high. It can maybe take you downhill if your pronunciation of words using an accent is not correct. So be very, very careful. Don't take unnecessarily strategies, or don't just abide by things which is available on YouTube. Verify them with expert people, with people who are certified trainers and examiners before you jump into taking them. And this is a very important saying to the multiple test takers, that you need to really now, instead of just doing blind practice, you need to understand where are you making that mistake, what is going wrong, where are you pushing yourself. So, and also you need to understand that why is this not happening about me. There's again nothing impossible. And for first time test takers, don't get blind suggestions, don't take advice and suggestions from people who are not expert trainers or who are not experienced trainers. They can be just local people, or they can be just you or me who, like, I am obviously an expert trainer, but they can be any normal test taker who just by somehow has been able to score a 90 and thinks now is a very good reviewer or a suggestion maker. A lot of things can work for you, which cannot work for another person. We are all on a different space. We all have different capacities of understanding and producing. So stick to your own capacities and do the best in your own capacity. Now let's do a quick poll time. How many of you now find the speaking section easy after I have explained it? Let's see, can we have the polls, please? I think we can close the poll and have the result, please.
I think we just started with the poll, so
Okay,
we'll give
sorry.
them some more seconds to
Yeah.
just answer.
Okay, yeah. Let's give them another 20 seconds before we close it.
Yes. So we see 66% of the attendees have voted. So we'll close the poll here.
Yes, please. Agree. Very good. Okay, 33.7. I am so happy that neither of you disagree or about the fact that this is not easy. I'm so happy to see 67% of you say that it is very easy. Wonderful. So, okay. Now, so that was the end of the speaking section of PTE. I think I've given you all the relevant details. Again, I would say is please don't follow blind templates. Work on fluency and pronunciations. Work on how you speak English, and take proper guidance and expert advice when you're doing questions or when you're asking people to evaluate you. Taking feedback and evaluation is very important instead of just doing blind testers. Now I am going to be open for question and answers. Whatever your queries, concerns, doubts, opinions are, I'm more than happy to address.
Before that, thank you so much, Priyamvada, for this informative presentation. And we'll be moving on to the Q&A section now. To all the attendees, if you have any question, then now it's the time. Like, as mentioned earlier, you can drop your questions on the Q&A box for those who are attending in Zoom. And I hope that we get some of the questions, some questions at least. Like if there's any doubt or any question.
Okay, there was a question from YouTube which says, do we need to speak fast to score more in the speaking section? No, you don't need to speak fast. You need to speak quick, but you need to speak clearly, and you need to be able to give rightful answers. Read aloud, don't speak it like a train and just be over with it. No, use your proper intonations, use your tone, use your pronunciations, be very clear. absolutely clear with what you want to say. If I came and said, "Hi, my name is Priyamvada, how are you? I am a certified trainer," would you understand what am I saying? No. But I would think, oh, I've said it. Wow, I'm done with my introduction in about 3 seconds. I'll feel happy glow. No, that's not how you work. What you work is when you say clearly. The other person should be able to understand. You should give the other person a chance to comprehend.
So I think most of them have clearly understood what was explained. So due to time constraint, we need to wrap up our session for today. And as we have reached to the end of the session, I would like to inform you that this session has been recorded and it will be available on UrbanPro's YouTube channel in case you want to access to the recording one more time. And to connect with our speaker, book a free demo by clicking on the link shared in the chat box or in the description box. I will do that once again.
Thank you so much to all my viewers. Thank you, Urban Pro. Thank you, Sinchana and Dipti, for arranging this. It was wonderful talking to you. I'll come back with another episode where we'll talk about another section in a little more details. But before I come up with another episode of this, I would want to hear your opinions to tell me that what all should I bring in, what all should I add, which sections do you all want me to bring in next.
Yes.
That would be really helpful for me.
Yes, so coming to that, also to get regular updates on interactive live webinars and informative lesson videos, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of UrbanPro. And not just that, we will be live on every Tuesday, 6 p.m. with our experts. And your feedback, as Priyamvada mentioned, is very valuable. So it will help us improve and bring webinar topics of your choice. So do not forget to fill up the form post the session. And before we take a leave, I would like to thank our speaker Priyamvada once again, and actually for investing so much time and also all the attendees for being such wonderful audience. So stay tuned, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.